Hi, this is Unit 3, Part 2, your lesson on the G progression. As you watch this video, be sure you're following along in the book on page 13, which is where you will find the chord diagrams for the chords that are in the G progression and also some tips about switching back and forth. The G progression starts on the G chord, right? The name of the chord is the name of the progression, the one chord. So we start on G. G is a familiar chord. We've been using this one already, so this one you should know by now. But again, you can review here if you need to. The second chord is the C chord. C is kind of a difficult chord. It requires a little bit of a stretch, so that's one we're going to spend the most time talking about now. When you play the C chord, please note that it is a 5-string strum, so you do not strum your lowest string. When you place your fingers, your first finger is going to go 2nd string, 1st fret. Your middle finger has to stretch a little bit here to 4th string, 2nd fret. And then your third finger really has to stretch 5th string, 3rd fret. You're really going to have to curve your fingers and get up on your fingertips here because it is a little bit of a far distance to stretch when you've got to be covering so much space across the neck. Your pinky is not used here, and this low 6th string is not strummed. So you hook in here at the 5th string, for the C chord. Okay. This chord is pretty challenging on its own, so I would say spend some time working on this first. Okay. Once you've got the C chord, once you're a little more comfortable with the C chord, start to practice transitioning from the G to the C and see how quickly you can make that switch. I'd recommend just doing really light, touching really lightly with the left hand and just picking up and moving G, C, G, C, moving back and forth. And then strumming G a few times. Give yourself some time to switch. Strum C a few times. And start to speed up that transition as you get more comfortable with it. The transition from G to C is probably one of the hardest that we have to do on guitar because there's no fingers in common and you're moving from one side of the neck all the way to the other. So it just takes some practice. You'll build up some muscle memory. I promise it'll get easier, but at first it's a little bit difficult. Once you're on the C chord, the final chord in the progression is called D7. So just like D was that upside down triangle, made an upside down triangle here, D7 is a right side up triangle, and if you look at the chord diagram, you'll see that it's basically your D chord just flipped up onto the 1st and 2nd frets. Okay. It's also a 5-string strum. You're not strumming your lowest string here. Okay. So take your first finger, put it in the 1st fret, 2nd string. Middle finger goes 3rd string, 2nd fret. Third finger goes 1st string, 2nd fret. The good news is it's really easy to get to the D7 chord from the C chord because your first finger is already in place. You just have to lift up your 2nd and 3rd fingers and set them on either side. Once you're comfortable with these chords, put them together with our chord progression warm-up. So start with 1 strum of each. That's C, D7, G, and then go 2 times with 2 beats to change. And then continue 3 strums of each. G, C, D7, and then when you can, and when it's comfortable to do all 4 strums, move into the full progression. And you've learned the G progression. Once you're comfortable with it, there's not a song assignment for the G progression, but I would like you to start to memorize some of these progressions that we've been using. So your assignment here is a quiz. You're going to memorize the chords of the D progression, memorize the chords of the A progression, and memorize the chords of the G progression, all of these that we've been working on so far. When you quiz, you only have to strum each chord 4 times. So instead of doing our whole warm-up, you'll just go. Doesn't need to be that fast, but just 4 strums of each of the first 3 progressions we've been working on. Have fun with this. It's really important that you have a strong foundation in chords, because the more chords that you know, the songs you'll be able to play with them are endless. Have fun.